Hello and welcome to the Underpowered Channel, a gaming podcast where even if we're busy, we still find time to game. My name is Shelby Stokes, and this, my friends, is Mr. Eric Scott.
How's it going tonight?
Dude, it's going so good. How are you doing? What is going down?
Shelby, I love the podcast. When I'm always asked, hey Eric, you want to be on the podcast? Hell yeah, I want to be on the podcast. So I've been in the Pokemon Zone for a bit. I've been in the Pokemon Zone deep. If you haven't been checking things out,
dude, you have been cracking some packs and making things happen, man.
Oh my god, dude!
I think that I jumped on a grenade for us and had that night where we didn't really get any pulls, and I was just like, "Here, take it." Like as I'm drowning, I just push the raft your way, and then boom, the dynamite happened.
Here's the thing: that night was destined to fail because it was a mystery pack night, and mystery packs are just notorious for being garbage. And what I have been opening lately has not been garbage; it has been absolute flaming fire. The double crisis from last week had one of my favorite cards from the X and Y era, and then Unified Minds. That opening was also crazy, and I got more stuff coming up, which maybe we'll talk about later. But what have you been up to, Shelby? What's been going on with you?
Oh my gosh, so many things. So many things are going on. Like we're almost to April. Like I'm very excited for it to be in April. I've been playing some games. I bought into the Diablo 4 hype just enough to download the game and then never actually play anything. So I am a filthy casual. That is what that means.
I haven't even, and I could be as excited for anybody about Diablo 4, and I have not. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care about the beta. I don't want to see it. I really want to just download it and see as much as I can on June 6th for the first time and just really take it all in and really be like, oh my God. And that's what I've always loved about Blizzard games. That's what I loved about World of Warcraft is just I knew it was a good game. Nobody really talked about it because everyone who was playing back then, we were in high school. If you were playing World of Warcraft, you weren't telling your friends about it. So I got into that game knowing nothing. And it was just, oh my God, mind blown. And that's what I really want with Diablo 4. But the hype is out there. The hype is out there.
So let's talk about it. So you are not such a big fan of the beta. Like, how come I feel like the beta was made for you in a lab somewhere, and you're like, but you didn't hop in, huh?
I haven't hopped in. My attention has been kind of elsewhere. I'll be honest with you. This is going to sound crazy because, like I said, I could be as excited for anybody about Diablo 4. I've streamed Diablo 2 on the channel. I found myself diving down a little bit of a rabbit hole over the weekend, and I was playing World of Warcraft and I hit level 80 and my interest just kind of ground to a hard halt because the social aspect of that game wasn't there. My friends aren't playing it. It's just it's not as fun. I don't get to log on and see my friends. So my attention's been kind of wandering. I'll check in on Warcraft a little bit. Maybe we'll see how long I stick with it. I don't know. But I jumped into Game Pass and I was let's just see what's in here and see what looks interesting. And over the weekend, I came across a game I'd never heard of, never thought about, and I looked at it. It's weird. And it was Civilization 6. And I'm not joking with you, Shelby. I spent almost 2 full days just in a very deep, just kind of, the first few playthroughs were just kind of like a discovery mode and what is this game and how does everything work? And before I know it, I've got this marathon campaign and I'm building the United States from the ground up. And I've got this incredible civilization. And you might be asking yourself, Eric, what are you talking about? What is civilization? Civilization, I don't know if I could explain the genre, but it's a sort of, I don't know if it's real-time strategy or simulation-based. It's a civilization builder. And I have not played 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I only fired up 6, and you essentially you start out, you're a settler, and you've got your warrior with you, and you build your city, and you just kind of expand everything. and time passes, and you start out in ancient times and you work your way into modern times, and you're advancing your technology, you're building more cities, you're creating trade routes, excuse me, you're chasing gold, and there are other civilizations that are growing around you and doing these same things around you, and you can choose to trade with them and use your situation, your common ground, if you will, to help each other. Or you can go to war and you can take their stuff, and you can raise their city to the ground if you
So
want
have you
to.
so what has been your tactic as a Civ player? Do you go in and like make friends and try to like trade your way to victory? Or are you just like, no, I'm gonna crush you with every tank I can get?
I honestly, what, and I've my games have kind of been against the computer. Um, I don't know if there's a multiplayer or anything. I sort of build. I like to build along coastlines. There's a lot of nice resources along coastlines. I like to build. I like to build a strong navy, and it's. I'm kind of dependent on getting far enough and advanced in technology to where I have airplanes. If I've got a bomber, oh man, bombers are fun. You can just plunder a city with a bomber, just drop that sucker. But the missile cruisers from the sea are a fun strategy. Otherwise, there's nothing better than just the old, hey, we're just gonna throw numbers at a city until it breaks.
So you're playing Civ. Have you played Civilization before?
I haven't. I haven't. I've
Really? This
heard of
is
it.
your first time playing the
I,
series, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is. I had heard of it. I kind of knew what it was about. It was intriguing. It was like, well, that it seems kind of like Sim City, but sort of like Sim something else, Sim Civilization, I guess. Um, yeah, it kind of it appeals to that gamer in me that I love a slow game. I love a slow game that is also continuously rewarding, and
Oh, this
to
game
be
is for you then, my
it
friend.
is.
This game is built for you because
And,
that is like the biggest like blockade for me in this series is like I played a few here and there and I was like, man, I really like this game. And then I played like two campaigns and I was like, I don't know if I can dedicate another 6 hours to another run on this thing.
it's that bad, and it's I find myself I get up, I sit down, and Sunday I started playing, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna fire up it because I played a full game Saturday. I've literally played like 3 games, and I've got just hours into this game. It's ridiculous.
Nice.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just seeing the time melt away, and the dog over my shoulder wants a walk, and she's just getting more and more sad, and and it's like, is there sunlight outside? Yeah, I better go see the sunlight. It's a time sink on the kind of on the same level as Vampire Survivors, where you're playing and I just kind of get into it, and the time just melts away. So yeah, it. I texted Casey. I stumbled upon an Eric game, and this is definitely an Eric game. Like I said, it's very slow, but it's also continuously rewarding, and yeah, it's hard to walk away from. There's always just one more upgrade, one more one more this, one more that, and they're all so close together that before you know it, it's 1 in the morning, and you got to be up for work in 4 hours, and you're a bad adult.
But I think that is exactly what makes these games so good is like that one more hit. Like just give me one more. Like just
Oh
okay,
yeah,
just one more upgrade. And I remember with Civ, it was always like one rotation away. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So if I wait one more rotation, then I can upgrade my navy and I can get a bigger and better ship so I can go a little bit further and see the thing. And before you know it, you've done like 4 turns and it's absolutely bonkers. Like I love this game and I'm loving that you're getting into it. So in terms of like this game, how are you playing it? Are you playing on an Xbox? Are you playing it on a PC? How are you
I
playing
am
this?
I'm playing it on Game Pass on my PC.
Okay.
And I
All
feel
right.
honestly, I feel there's no better way to play this game. And
Yeah.
that's kind of, I was like, well, I've got Game Pass. Let me just check a couple of games out. And I've played a couple on Game Pass, and this was one of them. Honestly, this is the one I sunk the most hours into. And it's it's another perfect kind of, well, I'm not necessarily, it's an in between games kind of a game. It's not
Mhm.
something that you need to, you know, you have to dive into because that's what you, I don't know anybody else that's playing this, Shelby.
Well,
It's not.
I know that Spool is like super into this. Like Spool has
Oh,
always been a big fan of the Civ games, and I know that this one is like right up his alley. I don't know when this one came out specifically, but I do know that he is one that always loves a simulation game, and this one would be right up his alley, I would imagine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I can only be, and he's right there on the screen. I can only be Teddy Roosevelt. I can only be the United States of America. Got to represent.
Dude,
Um,
you gotta represent the
Represent the
states.
States, my man, the
Oh
USA.
my gosh, that is hilarious. Well, I can tell you that I had a night last night that I don't normally have, and it's one of those nights where I started on a game. I normally do multiplayer on Monday with my buddy Dr. Z, and we're in the game. We're like, let's try this new game called Valheim, and it's just like, okay, we'll
Yeah.
try this out. Cut to 3 hours later, which is not something we normally do. Normally, it's like, okay, we play an hour, we've done from 8 to 9, and now we're done. This game got into my blood and I could not stop playing this,
What
Eric.
is
It was
going on
bad.
with this? This
It was
looks.
bad. So essentially, this is almost like a not Greek, Viking based go out into the woods and forage and then make things, right? So you straight up just start as a naked individual in the woods, you collect rocks, you pick up sticks, and then all of a sudden you can craft an axe. And then you can go and chop down trees, and then the trees can be falled and you can make bigger and better things. And it's just a place of discovery where you're constantly pushing little by little trying to figure out what the next interlocking piece is. And when you find it, it's just like glorious. Like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I can do this.
Wow.
It was so good. It
I'm
was
looking at
so
this, and
freaking
this is
good.
all from the starting point of a naked. You're just naked in the woods.
Yeah, think Naked and Afraid. That is what this game is. This is Naked and Afraid, the game, and I love every second of it.
Wow. It looks awesome. And so how can I, okay, now on Xbox and Game Pass? Well, that
Xbox and Game Pass. Yeah, so I don't know if it's on PC. I would imagine it would be because it says Xbox and Game Pass, but who knows? I'm currently playing on an Xbox. It is a pre-build beta version, right? So like it is a little bit, I mean, the graphics aren't the best on the X series, but it's so much fun that I cannot get enough of it.
well, I can.
It has this mechanic where you basically forage out into the woods, and if you die, you respawn where you landed, and you have to run out and do a corpse run back to your body to pick up all your goods. So it has a little bit of that Dark Souls feel because you're like constantly running to your body and trying to make sure that you're able to maintain the goods that you're gathering. And their creation of the different materials is just fun. I mean, cut to like almost midnight, and I'm just like, okay, how do I end up like taming a boar? I'm gonna look up how to tame boars. It's just really good, and I can't get enough of it, and I want some more right now. I want to be playing this game right now.
And so is this a game you would say is best enjoyed with other people? Like get your friends together, get everyone, get a couple people and collaborate. Like, can you build more things? More is it to your advantage to be working with others?
I think so. I think this game is like best served with other people. I have not tried to play solo. Like part of me wanting to enjoy this game with Dr. Z is to not go play this solo. So I'm like gonna actively avoid this thing because I know that if I go and like figure out, oh, I need this to do this and this to do this, then it's more of like me carrying him rather than like that co-op discovery that you kind of get in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and I think like the undiscovered in this game is really where the fun is. It's like, oh, what if I put this like dead deer head or this deer antler on this shrine? Oh, a boss is gonna pop out. Now I gotta be able to like navigate that mess. Like it's really good. And then like playing with co-op is like, hey, I got zombies. I'm running back to camp. I can't take them by myself. And then before you know it, the zombies are making their way into the camp and then they kill Dr. Z. And I'm just like, sorry, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I was able to survive and I brought the whole horde back. You're welcome.
So
So
is this a living world that other people are in with you?
great
Is
question.
this
Yeah, so I believe that you can actually make worlds. So it has that save function where you can have characters and worlds, and I think you attach the two. In other words, like if we had a world together, I would call it like, Eric Shelby world, and then you and I can go in there and live in our sandbox, and I could start another server, and I could choose to make it public or make it private. In my experience, I've just been making it private and inviting Dr. Z.
so is it how what's the maximum that you can have in this sandbox? I mean, could you have like a whole like get your whole friends like a whole Viking army in this thing? Like,
Good question. I mean, I would imagine. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I would imagine. Let's do a little Google search.
wow, this game looks interesting, and I checked it out. The Game Pass on the PC, it says game preview.
Ooh, so I bet it does work. I bet it does.
Man, so yeah, it says this game is a work in progress. It may or may not change over time or release as a final product.
Yeah. So I
So,
guess that means it. I bet it's. I don't know. It could be crossplay. It says 10 players. You can have up to 10 players in
wow.
here,
Yeah,
and
online, yeah, up to 10. Wow.
yeah, and it gives you like the opportunity to like build walls and build houses. And like the first thing you do is you try to build a workbench. Well, you go to work on the workbench and it's like, hey, you need a roof over this workbench. And you're like, oh, well, shoot, how are we going to get a roof over this? So then you like build a roof and then it gets dark and it's like you're getting cold and starting to freeze. And you're like, oh, well, now I got to build a fire. And then, it's just that repetitive loop of like trying to just build and become a little bit better each time. And I'm addicted. I know it got big. I want to say like a year ago, maybe even more, and it was in a pre-alpha stage at that point. And now they have that another beta coming to Xbox Game Pass. So if you're interested, if you're on the edge, I would definitely say check it out because I'm loving it.
Well, it's a free install on Game Pass, and I'm just going to click install and
Yeah.
have that thing waiting for me the next time I'm next. Might not even be the next time I'm bored. It might be after we finish here because that looks interesting.
Yeah.
That looks it's so or I have all these questions and
Yeah.
is when I think of excuse me, Viking style, Nordic style adventure game, my mind obviously drifts to Skyrim
Mhm.
and that world and how deep that world was. And I don't know if you can I mean if you can compare the two as far as lore, but can you stumble upon full towns, villages? Is
So
there a living world around you?
I haven't found any like NPC humans. I've found like boars and there's like goblins and but there's not like full on cities that I've seen yet. But I think there could be. Like the beauty of this game is like is the discovery. Like you get in and you're like, "Oh wait, here's a tree and a stick. Now what does that mean? Oh, now I can chop down a tree." Like that evolution of learning just a little bit more about the world is pretty cool. One thing that I will say is if you're going to get into the lore, I think it's present, but it is like all text based. So you're going to read like two paragraphs and it's going to like push you in a certain direction or drop you a hint. Like the last rune stone I had was a riddle that talked about taming boars. And it was like, hey, you can tame a boar if you take this one item and sneak up and try to like tame the boar. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I didn't even know I could do that. So then like last night at, cut to midnight, I'm like looking up this game and it's like, you can actually create a farm of boars and breed boars and make a boar pen. And I'm just like, oh, this is so cool.
Just yeah, it just it seems like the depth of it is
Yeah.
I any questions I had, I think it's just Eric, go figure it out.
Dude, yeah, and that's part of the fun. I know there's games like this that I can either like be really into or bounce off. Either like Valheim. I really want to get into Grounded. I tried to get into Minecraft a few times, and I just can't penetrate Minecraft for some reason. I don't know if it's the art style. I don't know if it's like it's too elementary. Like I think I need more hand holding in a game than yeah, and I think that's why I bounced off of Minecraft. So this one's good. I'm gonna keep plugging away at it. I'm gonna try to save it for multiplayer experiences, maybe dive in and check it out here in a little bit, but it's really good.
Oh,
Yeah, I also saw credits on Harry Potter and
you saw credits on Harry Potter, a game that
I
I promised I was going to buy, a game I'm still going to buy. I haven't bought yet. I haven't picked up yet.
what happened? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
I uh, I got bit by that one, but could it be the perfect stopgap game right now? Because I was telling you before the show, I feel like
Mhm.
we could title the show "Games We're Playing Before Diablo 4."
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the perfect stopgap game? Because I've heard great things about it. I've heard for fans of the series, it's just about everything that you could be asking for. So you rolled credits. Give me the scoop.
So this game is so there's games that you stumble upon every so often, every couple of years, where you could just go as deep into this game as you could imagine. Skyrim comes to that my
I
mind.
say big
A
thanks to
lot
Warner
of
Brothers.
the like Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes to mind. I mean, a game that you could easily drop 60 hours in and then still not see it all, even 100 hours
You're
maybe.
speaking my language. You're
And
speaking my
this is
language.
that game. This is that game. And then you couple that with the nostalgia of my generation, our generation
Yeah.
of Harry Potter, where like we were coming up while the books were coming out. Everyone is talking about new releases. Like the vibe that this game has really captures that nostalgia in such a perfect way. Pairs it with with not characters, but a setting that you love and a world that you love, and tells a really good story, in my opinion. I think that the story in this game could have easily just been written off and been very rubber stamped. And I thought they tackled a few issues in here that they didn't need to, but it made it dark enough and mature enough to make me appreciate the fact that they actually went as hard as they did. The side content, the collectibles in this game is a world that allow you to just spend a very large amount of time in here. I personally have hit a point where I've completed the main quest. I've knocked out the majority of the side content. I still could go around and collect stuff, but this might be a game that I'm just like, oh, it was a hard day at work. I'm just going to pop in and relax for the rest of the day. I think that this is a must play for any Harry Potter fan. I believe that this is a game that you could truly get into and live in and be fully immersed in. And there's not many like it, but it's also a single player experience, and you're going to know if this is a game for you at this point.
I know it's a game for me at this point.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and like I said, for me, it's getting around to playing it, and the gaming world is just so full of distractions. It's
Yeah.
so many bright lights and flashy things and shiny objects that are going in front of you all the time,
Yeah.
and
And I would say that would be the one thing that may deter somebody from a game like this, right? Like because this game is so grand and really is, I don't want to say a time sink, but you know you're going to love it. And you know it's going to be a first person experience that you're going to want to consume all the way through. This may be a game that would sit on my shelf for a little while. Like, okay, I know that one's good. I'm going to come back to that one. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does, and because I want to make sure that I give a game like this the time and attention it deserves.
Mhm.
And the question obviously is, we've got a couple months to Diablo 4. Can I do that? I think a couple months is a good enough is a good amount of time. Um,
But you're also in a situation like where you're at, where you are kind of semi new to Game Pass, which
yeah,
means like there is so much content there for you to like dive into and really digest that you may just want to keep like just pecking at stuff until you find something and say, okay, I want to dive in hard on something, right?
yeah.
Like I really like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like I've talked about it before. It was my game of the year 3 or 4 years back. Like I think it's a really good game. I can't wholeheartedly say like go play this game, because if I tell you to go play this game, you could just get caught in a Valhalla hole for like 2 months. And that's where I've been. Like all of my gaming time has really been focused on maybe a few Switch titles here and there when I'm on the road, but primarily it's been Harry Potter. And I've enjoyed the ride, but I'm ready to say, okay, I'm done with Harry Potter. On to the next adventure. You know
I
what I
get
mean?
it. I get it. I get it. I get it.
So
So
I would say play it. Like if you're even on the fence, I've recommended this game to a handful of people, my sister being one of them. And she's not like an avid gamer, you know what I mean? Like she can sometimes struggle with gameplay, and I will say that the combat in that game is a little bit more difficult than you would imagine. But I also like put it in front of her, and she's just like, I love it. Like I have to play it. I'm gonna play it all the way through. So everyone that I've heard playing this game has liked it. I haven't heard anybody bouncing off of it. There's a couple of trolls that are giving negative reviews online, but I really think it's a well done game. And the attention to detail that they show the source material is like round of applause. Like if we continue to get games of this caliber in worlds like this, I'm all on board. Speaking of what's coming out next month, I'm very excited for Jedi Survivor to come out. And they are very similar to this Harry Potter game because it's such a high execution that respects the source material but provides good gameplay that you're just like, okay, yeah, I mean, you guys did the thing and you did it very well.
Yeah, and that's what you, as as gamers who have lived through the inception of video games, through all of the terrible video game movies.
So
How many
bad.
terrible video game movies have we been duped into seeing, Shelby, in our lifetime? Because it's our generation that has seen them all.
Yeah, and like I think the worst is like the other way. You know what I mean? Like when you have a beloved franchise that you know and love, and then you get a game in that universe and you're like, oh, you just took the title of the game and slapped it on the box. I am so pissed right now.
Yes, yes. And it feels like recently there's been an upward trend with Last of Us
Mhm.
in TV being just, you know, it seems like fans of the game are giving it a pass. Harry Potter game, fans are giving this game a pass. What was the other recent was there another recent one, or is it just the two?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I
Uh,
mean, there's like all I can say is like you're exactly on the right track. Like people are showing respect to these franchises, and it's about time. You know what I mean? I think that Midnight Suns from Marvel may fit into that camp. I haven't played it, but think of like Fire Emblem meets Marvel. Like that could be a very cool concept, and I think that executed on a high
right.
point. You're seeing things where they just try to cash in on the franchise not working. Like the
Yeah.
Marvel game that came out from Crystal Dynamics a couple years ago, Avengers. I came and went, and we all know how that
Oh
studio
my God,
shuttered.
that game. We're
Did,
talking about the Avengers game.
yes, did you play any of that?
Oh, I bought into all the hype. I played it and I traded it in the next week. I was that game that was okay. So I'm 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 of that older generation where we obviously older generation. We put a cartridge in. There's our game. It's all there. I never liked expansion pass. I never liked expansion passes, season passes, things like that. Where I was like, why are you taking more money from me? Why aren't you just giving me the full game? It's
Yeah.
that's where I come from, and um,
I was so disappointed in that title. Like, I mean, I'm well documented on this channel saying that I
yeah,
love Marvel. Like, I'm here for the Marvel movie still. I
yeah,
understand people are burned out of Marvel. I get it. I'm still there for it. Like, I'm gonna continue to watch it because it's a big action movie where I can eat
yeah,
popcorn. Like, I'm in. So,
yeah.
like, that game was made for me. Like, I am a gamer. That game graphically looked
Oh yeah.
gorgeous,
Oh,
and
the
then you get in
opening
there and
sequence.
oh, so
Oh,
good,
so good,
so
so
good.
good. If the rest of the game was as good as that opening sequence, it would have been great. But what I was getting to in a roundabout way was when I feel like you are just taking money from me
Mhm.
and not caring, like
And
not,
that game was
yeah,
littered with like microtransactions and
hmm,
currencies and like play or what's it called? Like a ongoing game. There's a terminology for it that I'm missing, but live service game,
yeah,
right?
okay,
Yeah, service game. Like they wanted you to buy into that world and stay in it. And the cosmetics rung hollow, like the currencies rung hollow, and because of that, it just kind of like came and went. So, Avengers, sorry, not sorry. Keep
uh,
doing more Harry Potter. Like I'm
yeah.
excited to see the new Star Wars game. I know there's no more Marvel stuff in the pipeline, so good stuff to come. Well, so I know that you've been playing another game. Do you want to hop into that, or do you want to hit the news?
I'll talk about this other game here for a
Okay, so
second.
you're throwing it back a little bit. You're going back
Yeah,
in time.
I am a little bit, and you want me to? What is going on my end here? Uh,
So you are playing one of my favorite games in memory. It's been a very long while since played it, but you're playing
yes,
Destroy All Humans on Game
you
Pass.
know, it looked interesting, and uh, let me see. I
So,
think it.
so
Go ahead.
are you playing the first one? Do you know which one you're playing?
I'm.
Oh, good work.
What did I do? What did I do?
Oh, you played it. I can see it playing.
Oh, is it,
Oh, look at that. That okay, so this has obviously got a graphical upgrade because this looks way better than I'm sure it looked initially.
yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm doing terrible. There we go. Okay, we've got. Um, sorry, technical difficulties.
So this is like is this a trilogy? I remember when this came out, Destroy All Humans, like it was started as one game, then they released a second, but you basically make chaos, right? Like
It's that I love it. I'm like I think I'm like 4 levels into the game, playing it a couple hours, and I'm just running around in this ridiculous, over the top, satirical. Is it 1950s, 60s world where it's I don't know, was it the atomic age of America? And the humor is just it's perfect. It's that one. It's that it's really dry. It's really it's kind of understated, but it's there. I don't and you're blowing stuff up. The first level, it's oh. You get to fling cows into the air and kill cows by just launching these suckers, and it's not just oh you're tossing a cow. It's like holy crap that cow is freaking flying. You know, you get into a couple of levels and you're picking up explosives and you're hucking them at people, and it's just great. You know, the one of the funniest things that I was struggling with is the the button to read people's minds is the same button to extract people's brain stems. And I
like
was
you do.
mispressing them. So I'm going through this level trying to, read people's minds. And oh, whoops, I just took your brain stem and just killed you. And, it just comes popping out. You die a horrible death right there on screen. And sorry, I'm getting off.
No, no,
Uh,
it's all good.
and and it's like, oh well, I'm going to start the level over because that was a stealth mission. it's just, I, it's silly, it's ridiculous, and I'm gonna keep playing through it because it's just
Good for you. I mean, like just having a game where you can go in and just completely just it's a sandbox and you can play in it. Like there's so much to be said about that.
yeah, yeah, and it's lighthearted. If you fail and you've got to start over, it doesn't overly punish you. It's kind of funny, and it's there's a surprising amount of. I mean, it's not a highly interactivable, however you say it, world,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of stuff you can throw at people. There's a lot of stuff you can
That's
throw at
always
people
nice.
for sure. That's just all over the place.
That's always what
Um,
I'm looking for is like, hey, can I throw things at people? Because that is where I'm at.
can I throw things at people that will explode? Is where I'm at.
And
That's more fun. If you're gonna do it, make it. Put some pizzazz in there. You know what I mean?
so this game is essentially like Mars Attacks, the game, if I remember correctly.
Okay. What was what? Was there a Super Nintendo game that was like this? Or you know what? I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is not this. But God, if you get that reference out there,
Dude,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, well, that's good stuff. Well, hey, I mean, that's on Game Pass, right? You can get in there and play that. So,
yeah, it's on Game Pass. Check it out. If you don't like it, 10, 15 minutes in, that's all you've lost. It's 10,
yeah, you're
15
gonna
minutes.
know. You're gonna know. Well, cool. Well, I mean, we're playing a lot of games. We're gonna keep on keeping on. I'm planning on doing a backlog battler episode this week where I'm gonna talk about what the heck am I gonna play next. I'm going to bring some Harry Potter clips and dive into that. But I know you and I are going to be wrestling with what we're playing next, and Diablo 4 is right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I was an I don't want to say original Diablo 2 player, but I played Diablo 2 for a very long time. It was a staple in our household. There was a time we had one computer, two brothers, and we were just rotating in that seat. Mom had an egg timer that we set for 30 minutes. That timer goes off. Next, save and exit. It's right there. Next brother, slides in, fires up the sorceress. Well, we had multiple computers in the house. We were doing, bail runs and Mephisto runs and farming gear for it was good stuff. So it's for me, it's one of those foundational games and one of those foundational franchises.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I know that like the beta was this weekend. There's a handful of people on our Discord, Big Doug, and a couple others that are like, "This
Yeah.
game is fire." I think CK was playing it, and maybe Hunter as well. And I know Phil also got in for a couple hours on Sunday, and all good things I hear, and the internet
Yeah.
seems to be happy with it, which is crazy considering people were not so happy about a little game called Diablo Immortal. So it's nice to see that they
Ooh.
rescued that. Good on them. Go Blizzard.
Yeah, and it sounds like what they learned with the Diablo Immortal fiasco is that their fan base is passionate to a point that is not necessarily convenient for Blizzard, but if if they want to make their fans happy, they absolutely have to come through. And it sounds like they have. It sounds they from Diablo 2 to Diablo 4, how many years has it been? How many decades has it been?
Yeah.
So every time they come out with a Diablo game, they do it right. I thought Diablo 3 was fantastic. I thought as a multiplayer game, it was a lot of fun. Very, very rewarding as a multiplayer game. I feel like it really took that next level to, really, really, if you can get three people online, your gear drops are going to be better. Everything's just going to be better for you. Um, I expect them to continue that with four. I'm so excited. I'm
I am
so
too, and
excited.
I'm really happy to see Blizzard like maybe actually get a win because they've been under fire for some pretty bad business practices, which we're not going to get into here. But like there was a time in the not so distant past where I was like, is the Blizzard of old dead? Like is the god on the mountain, if you will, the World of Warcraft, the StarCraft, you go through all of these different titles where they basically crafted an industry and
Mhm.
really led an industry, and you start to think to yourself like will they ever get back to what they were? And it feels like Diablo 4 is the first time that everybody's like, okay, you made a good project, you made a
Yeah,
good game. And I
yeah,
think it's been a while since that happened, so I'm
yeah.
excited. I'm
I'm
excited
I'm
that that's the
excited
case.
too, and the things that Blizzard has always stuck, the things that have stuck out in my mind across all franchises are their cinematics are
Mhm.
world class. In-game cinematics are world class, and they absolutely nail the music in their titles. Gameplay is always clean. Gameplay, the mechanics are always fantastic. Um, Little things, hit detection, character movement, character animations, casting, and just little things like that. They always take care of those details, and I know that
they they can do
they're
it.
gonna
I
come
believe
through.
in them. I believe in them. But I mean, hey, there's other things going on. D4 is taking up a lot of the news cycle, but there are some other things in the news.
In the news.
This is the Speculation News Network, where we talk about like three titles that we just really want to talk about. And the first one of which is one that you may have heard us talk about before in the same vein. But essentially, that's right. E3 is being shook up again. Our buddies over at Ubisoft, we don't know them personally, but they put out some games from time to time. They are skipping E3 as well. So
Ooh.
what we're seeing is we are seeing Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo all skipping E3. In addition, comes Ubisoft, which Ubisoft kind of used to be a little bit more of a powerhouse than they are today, in my opinion. It feels like they keep kind of recycling certain titles and that they're not really like seeing longevity, but that's neither here nor there. It's disappointing to see that Ubisoft will not be at E3. And if you thought there was a chance for a revival for E3, Eric, I don't think it's happening, dude.
Man, so who's left?
That is a good question. In terms of who's left at the game, I don't really have a huge list for you, but I know a lot of the people that we would normally see that I would look forward to are gone. Mainly Microsoft, Sony are the two big players here.
Yeah, yeah.
And now Ubi going away. I mean, Ubi has come out with some really good stuff. I'm a huge fan of a lot of their titles, unapologetically so, and they add their names to the list of people not coming back. Wah, wah.
That's I wonder if that's is this something we're going to start to see more of? Are we going to start to see more? I know Nintendo's on that list, and I've always seen Nintendo as kind of I don't want to. I can say it because I am a redheaded stepchild. Um, the redheaded stepchild of the gaming industry. I don't want to say the black sheep. They always kind of stand apart. They tend to do their own thing, but
They walk to the beat of their own drum, and I think they've proven that time and time again. And in the beginning, when Nintendo took the stance of stepping away from this conference, it was like, "What are you doing? Like,
yeah,
you need to play in the sandbox." And here we are, 4 years later, and everyone's falling apart.
it's just it's interesting. I mean, is it still close enough to 2020 where we can blame the pandemic? I don't
I mean,
know.
I mean, I think that this will be a casualty of the pandemic. Looking back, I think what would have happened if we never shut everything down and went and worked remotely. There's probably a world where E3 exists in some capacity, right? I still think that it was inevitable that it would fall away. Here's my biggest issue with Ubisoft leaving E3 is there's a part of me deep down inside where I have just wanted to be at E3 because it is an industry that is being celebrated at a games convention, right? Like I've always as a kid read about E3. Here's what the publishers saw, here's what the reporters saw, and as I grew up it was like, oh man, E3 is like where it happens. And now like it's just not the place. Like if I were to go to the epicenter, the one convention where all of gaming comes together, it's not E3 anymore. And I think it may be the Keeley show at the end of the year, or it may be Gamescom, or it may be the developers conference that just went down recently. But it is not E3 anymore.
I mean, is anything like that ever going to? Could we have already seen the peak of it?
But very much so. Very
It
much
it,
so.
it, it almost seems that way. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. Is
It is disappointing, and I think that everything happens for a reason. So hopefully, E3 becomes like some sort of gaming celebration type PAX show, and fans can still go and celebrate. But in terms of the behind closed doors demo, I just don't see it being a viable position for a lot of people anymore.
yeah.
So yeah, it is what it is. Let's talk about a story that had Casey on my mind the entire day the other day, and it is this one right here where there is a new game in the works from the TMNT universe, and they are going to do a God of War inspired Teenage Mutant Ninja
Oh my
Turtles
God,
game based on the run of The Last Ronin, which is a Ninja Turtles run of comics. I am so jacked for this, Eric.
dude, that looks so cool.
So cool.
That
It looks
looks so
dark.
cool.
I mean, the comics are dark colors and a lot of blacks. And oh my gosh, this could be such a cool game. I'm jacked for this.
So what style of game are we looking at here? Are we looking at a beat 'em up style? Or are we?
So
And
the article I pulled is from IGN, and they touted it as a God of War inspired TMNT. I want to say I read somewhere else that it's going to feel a little bit Soulsian too. So it's
okay,
going to be like difficult combat, I believe. which would be like perfect for this series. Like someone that would actually take this and make it be less cartoony, less button mashy, and more of like intentional combat in like a ninja based environment would just be like, yes, give it to me now.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I was super into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when I was 4 or 5 years old, and it unfortunately got lost in kind of the childhood. Dog, what are you doing? The childhood shuffle of cartoons and games and things I was into. So it didn't stick with me long term, but in terms of like that deep nostalgia. But I've always appreciated the uniqueness of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, and this looks dark. This looks like for the this. You said Casey. There's no other person I could think of that this is more perfect for
No,
than our buddy
I
Casey.
want this to be super dark too. I want it to be a dark, like difficult
Blood,
video game.
gore.
Yes.
I want blood. I want gore. I want this to be.
I want
I
so
want
much blood and gore.
mature content warning. Labels all over it. I want this to be for the 30-plus-year-old gamer who just loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that never stopped.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I have to say that I'm just excited that they're going to take another look at it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think it's a departure of what we've seen from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the past.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see it. So
yeah.
so this last bit of news, I actually pulled because Phil was going to be on this podcast and he had something come up, and he's not here with us, obviously. But essentially, if you have been plugged into Nintendo at all, this morning they did
Hello,
a little bit
everyone.
of a direct, and in that direct, they gave us quite a bit of gameplay footage of the new Zelda game.
I'm laughing because I'm the last person that Casey would want to have talking about this game. So
I
go
can't
ahead.
even grief Phil because I was so ready to come in here and just be like, look, there's still weapon durability. Isn't that cool?
Man. Look,
So
I,
let's
I,
let's talk about it. They I don't know how much footage they played. They played quite a bit, and they essentially ran through a lot of the new abilities that you're going to have, but they
what
brought back
is
weapon
this?
durability. So they're basically toting, hey, there's a whole bunch of land masses in the sky, and one of your abilities is just like, I want to go up. And then you just take like a rock elevator all the way to the top to where you can get on new bits of land.
What is this? This is.
Dude, this is the game where they're just like, we don't know what to do next, so we're just gonna like put more stuff in the
Because
sky. That's what it
okay,
feels like.
so full disclosure, I played through Breath of the Wild. I beat Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
The first Zelda game I've ever played, the first Zelda game I've ever beaten, and I enjoyed it. I had a really good time with Breath of the Wild. Excuse me.
Oh, hey there, kitty.
Sorry about that.
Kitty cat, no worries. Yeah, I'm super interested in this. I can't say that this trailer like did much for me in terms of excitement. I was just like, oh my gosh, they're still doing weapon durability. They even talked about the new menus in the Zelda game and how much easier it's going to be to manage inventory. And if you've been following our channel, you know Phil is not a huge fan of inventory management when it
Yeah,
comes to
yeah.
Zelda.
The inventory inventory management of this game is it's ridiculous. I would call it unreasonable. Um, I get what they're trying to do. I get it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. It's distracting. It's frustrating. Um,
I mean, it was really clunky for me. Like, I really, really had to will myself through it, especially because it came out at a time where everybody's like, this is the greatest game ever. It's like being at an art show and people are like, look at this amazing piece of art. And you're just like, I don't get it. Like, somebody
uh,
just splattered a canvas with paint. And that's belittling what this game actually is because I know there's a lot of developers putting in a lot of time. But I did not find the same appreciation for this title as others. The other thing
Well,
that I think is interesting about the gameplay mechanic is they're now giving players the ability to attach things together in the world. So if you're watching on screen, you can see that they've basically taken a stick and a big rock and use the ability to fuse these two together. And now it becomes like a big hammer type thing with a big rock at the end of a stick. And they're just mashing on fools.
yeah, it's and I mean that's it's cool.
That's interesting,
It's
right?
not game breaking. It's not,
No.
but I'm the observation that I've always made with this game is that what made Breath of the Wild a really good game, because it was a really good game.
Mhm.
What made it a really good game had absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it was a Zelda game, in my opinion.
Mhm.
In fact, I almost wonder if this entire universe, and oh my god, I'm going to get so much hate for saying this, if this universe could be better if it wasn't a Zelda universe, that they had done this sort of style, this sort of gameplay, this sort of immersive type of experience with fresh characters and a different type of a world, and you weren't restricted to Hyrule, and so you didn't have to make ridiculous floating rocks in the sky. What is this? I can't. What is this crap? What is this
So,
garbage?
so I will say that like
Yeah.
I'm excited to just get in there and play. Like I think that my expectations for the last Zelda were like, oh, a new Zelda game. This is gonna be a Zelda game. And I got in and it was so far from a Zelda game and in like the traditional opinion that I think it turned me off. Now that I know what they're going for, I think there's a good chance I'm gonna like this game more than I did the first one. I will say that this is a really kind of cool idea with that fusing mechanic. They're basically show a little bit of having an arrow for your bow and then attaching different items. So, like if you attach like a monster's eye to the end of a bow and to the end of an arrow specifically, and you loose it, that arrow will actually seek in and like hit an enemy, which I think is a really cool idea. All that to say, like if you can really integrate like okay, all of these different items work together differently and it's a unique sandbox, like I'm here for that. I'll play around with that. That
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
fun. There's some discovery there.
And I'm the type of gamer that I look at this combat system. I look at what is the ultimate reward for a game like this, and that's the ability to go and collect different pieces of things to fuse together a weapon that won't break. That's going to do a lot of damage. That's going to do a crap ton of damage and not break and not have a charge and just. But then it just it I guess it devalues so many other things. But what made what made the game stand out, in my opinion, what made I guess Breath of the Wild stand out, in my opinion, was you needed to collect certain things to be able to move in certain environments and go into certain places. And I did like that. I did think it was fun. That deep, obviously, Shelby, I'm a collector of things. So when I'm able to collect things that make sense that I can hold on to, that I can also upgrade, you're now talking Eric's language.
Mhm.
You're now talking. That's what I like when if I putting things together and building things only to have them break after hitting a, a whatchamacallit 16 times
Listen,
sucks.
you listen, the goal is to catch them all, but they will all break, and therefore you will have none in the end. What is the point?
The point is so that you're always catching them, so that you're never catching them all, and you're always paying the 4.99 to keep going. You're always paying the monthly subscription
Um,
fee. That's the goal.
so that's
That's
what's
the goal.
going on with Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, it's gonna sell gangbusters. Like it's gonna take over the world. Like we know that. Like
Yes,
it's definitely gonna happen.
and I will also say that I promise you, Zelda fans out there, that Phil and Casey will give the game. Well, Casey will definitely give the game a much more
5 stars.
pleasure, a much more Zelda fan friendly review, and much more positive outlook than I've given you.
Yeah, yeah, that's and I'm sure he'll be playing it too. I know that was one of
One
his
hundred
favorite
percent.
games for multiple reasons. I know that he has some fond memories with him and his family playing that game. There are a lot of games out there. I think I will definitely play Tears of the Kingdom and probably enjoy it a great deal.
I will. I might wait until it's half off though on the Nintendo Store. I don't know.
Is it ever half off in the Nintendo store?
Oh, you got me there, sir.
Listen, I knew a guy whose dad worked at Nintendo, and not even
I,
he got half off.
I do too. I do too. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think yeah, that
too
that
funny.
employee discount does not extend that far. No, sir.
Well, cool. Well, we're approaching an hour right quick, so I think we're gonna kind of bring this to a close. Do you want to talk a little bit about maybe our final segment, which is what you watching?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
What you watching?
What you watching? You want me to go first?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I am, and I feel like 2.5 seasons into a 3 season show. Is that enough to be able to fully talk about?
Yeah, I mean
Okay,
you're definitely there. I think you have carte blanche to like
all
attack
right.
that. If you've watched what is that, 80%? I don't know if that math
It's at
works,
least
but yeah,
rough math,
70%? I think you're okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
I got into about a week and a half ago. I got into Narcos.
Nice.
I'm kind of on a Netflix thing where I've seen a lot of the stuff that obviously appeals to me, and so I'm just dabbling in some other stuff. And I got into Narcos, and I jumped into it. I jumped along for the ride, and the premise of the show for the first 2 seasons is the United States DEA pursuit of Pablo Escobar, the notorious, famous Colombian drug lord in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Highly influential figure on the country, highly influential figure in terms of the illegal cocaine trade, and the pursuit of the DEA and the eventual. Well, they didn't capture him. There's no spoiler alert. 1993, he was killed, something like that. So
Hmm.
times up. Yeah, they chased him down on a rooftop and shot him. And his reign came to a very abrupt and violent end. So
Yeah.
the first 2 seasons of the show essentially tell a dramatized, fictionalized kind of perspective, semi inspired by true events version of that story. And then, season 2 ends. You've got that third season, and you're not chasing Pablo, and it's starting to feel a little bit like, where are we going with this? We got the guy. We got the guy. Who's the Cali cartel? So, you're still living. You get another season of this very violent, very it's a very interesting kind of gangster world where respect is huge, family is huge, elements of religion are built into it, but then there's this really really cold blooded aspect of this very cold blooded and direct violent aspect of the entire universe that is obviously the thing that's so interesting and creates so many just very tense moments, dramatic sequences where this guy shows up. He knows that he knows too much. Things are going sideways. Is he about to get one in the head, or is he about to get hey, hop in the back seat. We're getting out of here. So
Dude,
a lot of
this
stuff like
sounds like
that.
super intense. So, or is this very suspenseful? Is this like a
Suspenseful.
thriller?
It
Okay.
really is. It really is. It focuses on the story of two DEA agents that are working together. One of them is a very American agent, it, like your stereotypical white guy, trying to
Mhm.
live in a Latin country. Brought his wife with him, so there's some nuances of them trying to fit into a foreign to them a foreign country, and then there's the other agent. He's seems like he's deep undercover. He speaks Spanish, knows the culture. And I don't know if he's been living there. So you kind of follow the two of them working together, and the American agent, he's kind of coming in wide eyed and really seeing a lot of stuff for the first time. That's really surprising, and so
Wow.
you kind of learn a lot about that world. You kind of you know you get a good you get a nice
Hmm.
fictionalized taste for things too. It's good.
Interesting. I mean, that's been something that's been sitting on my list on Netflix for years now. Like people said it was good. It's like, oh, it's just sat here. Like maybe one day I'll watch it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, 2 seasons. are probably enough. I will finish the third season. I feel like I could have ended it at 2 seasons at this point and been good, but the third season is I'll finish it. Three
Yeah.
seasons long for a show, for a what I would say is a quality Netflix show, is short enough to where it's worth your time. It's worth your
Yeah.
time. You're not diving into an epic tale. You're not diving into a Breaking Bad style of a commitment, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, I mean, maybe I'll get into that. Maybe, I
Cool.
think that, like, I normally stay away from super tense shows, which may be why I have stayed away from the show called The Bear for so long. It's about a restaurant and really captures the frantic, stressful nature of a restaurant. This got super popular probably about a year ago, I wanna say. I'm finally catching up on it, and boy, is it good, but it is very, like, white knuckle, like, enjoy the ride. So, been enjoying that. That's my wife's show right now.
Is that like a reality TV, or is that a fiction,
It's a
or
scripted show about a restaurant, and
okay?
essentially the main character is a twin, and his brother passes for undisclosed reasons to me as of now, and then he basically has to go back and take up the restaurant to keep it to survive. And the whole time he's been off doing like five-star cutlery type restaurant. He's a French chef in a restaurant the other side of the world, and he has to come back in his brother's absence, and it's like very stressful, and it reminds me of being a busboy in a restaurant in high school, and I don't know how to feel about it, but it does make my blood pressure rise, so
That's
that's nice.
that's interesting. That we talk about the high school type of jobs,
Mhm.
and the restaurant, bar, food industry is one that I never got into. I was My first job. I was a bagger at a grocery store,
Oh, nice.
and I got fired from that job, Shelby. I
Whoops.
don't know how funny this story is, but I think it's funny to tell. Um, should I tell the story of how I got fired from?
Yeah,
I feel like
now I have
I
to
feel like
know.
I've
Were you
popped the
stealing eggs? Like, were you giving
no,
away
yeah,
$3 bags
I
or
popped the lid on the Tupperware. We're still good. So we were upstairs in the break room, me and a few other baggers. We're all a bunch of high school kids, 17 years old, seniors in high school. I'll add, and we're talking. I don't know how it came up. Someone said, "Hey, I heard you could cook an onion by putting it in the microwave," and we
Oh,
said, "No,
no.
that's crazy. You can't do that." And so I was like, "Well, you know what? Let's figure this out." I walk downstairs into the produce department. I find an onion. Walk up to the self checkout. Purchase said onion. Walk upstairs. Put it in microwave. Set timer for 10 minutes. All right, guys, let's come back in 10 minutes and see if this thing cooked.
Oh, no
We
way.
leave the room. I walk into the bathroom, which is just a couple doors down upstairs. It's the employees on the area. Do my business. Come back about 2 3 minutes later, and there is smoke starting to fill the break
Oh,
room. And I
no.
look inside of the microwave, and said onion is on fire in the microwave. Open up the microwave, and I'm not even joking. The amount of smoke coming out of this little box was tremendous. It was when I say comical, I'm talking Looney Tunes, ridiculous amount of smoke coming from this microwave. I pulled the onion out. It wasn't on fire anymore when I opened up the microwave. I threw it in the trash, and I proceeded to leave the break room. And about I think it was like 15, 20 minutes later, my shift was over, and I clocked out and went home. Didn't think anything of it. I come into work the next day. Guess who's waiting for me by the time clock? It is the store manager, Eric. We need to see you upstairs right away. Sit down. John, what's going on, my guy? Well, Eric, we heard that there was some funny business in the break room last night, because when I came into the store this morning, the whole store stinked like a burnt onion. It was horrible.
Oh, no.
Yes. So, Eric, we have to suspend you for 3 days, or we have to suspend you until further notice. Uh, by the way, would you mind just kind of explaining what happened? Oh, yeah, sure, John. This is what happened. This is what I did. This is who was there, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think anything of it, whatever. Went home. 3 days later, I get a call. Yep, come on in, show up, 4 o'clock shift, whatever. At the time clock, who's waiting for me there? Guess who it is?
It's the Onion Master, John.
I wish it was. It was the store manager, John.
Oh, no.
Store manager John takes me upstairs. Well, Eric, it seems like you are the only one to admit to any involvement upstairs. Therefore, we're letting you go. So, moral of the
What?
story, yes.
They made you come back in to fire you?
Oh, well, they had to give me my last check,
Oh, gotcha.
which I want to say it was $2,000 for a 17-year-old kid. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was a big severance check because I was making like $300 a week if I was working 40 hours at the time. Minimum wage was what, $7.50 an hour?
Mhm.
Man, that's how times were. So, blast from the past. Hope you enjoyed story time with Eric. Don't put onions in the microwave at the break room at work, or you will get fired.
You will get fired. I can't believe that. I can't believe you got fired for throwing an onion in a microwave. That's a first I've ever heard.
You heard it here first.
You're first, for sure. Oh, that's cool. Well, good stuff. Well, it has been a good episode. I know we're just past an hour, so we're gonna wrap things up. But we got more coming this week, don't we, Eric? I am gonna do a backlog battler episode come Thursday. Gonna put together some clips, talk about throwing Hogwarts on a list, maybe talk about what the heck I'm gonna be playing next, because now is the time to kind of turn focus onto the next game. So that's what I'm going to be doing Thursday, 8 o'clock. I'll be there. And then you're coming with the heat the next day, right?
I am coming with the heat the next day, and Shelby, I'm just gonna say, really looking forward to the next show. Looking forward to Backlog Battler, and I will definitely be tuning in for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to gloss over what you've got going on, but I am fired up. I've got a lot of heat in the works. A little preview. I'm not going to open this, but what I've got right here is a diamond and pearl. This is going to be part of the next six pack. Great encounters. This is from. This is a pack, sealed pack from. I've got a. It's so well. That's not 1998. So
Whoa.
I've got some 1998 vintage stuff that I'll be opening up. I've got an awesome six pack. Be playing some Pokemon games, playing some TCG Live, doing a
Nice.
little boss battle in Emerald. So I've got some fun stuff next week. And oh man, Friday's show could pop off if Phil decides to join me. So we'll
That's
just see
awesome.
what happens. Phil, it's kind of up to you.
Yeah, for sure. And like Phil, shout out to you, man. I know you have been burning the candle at both ends.
Yes, sir.
Dude has been shorting it up this week on YouTube. If you'd like to go click into that content, that'd be awesome. We had a couple that popped off today. So good work, Phil.
Yeah.
Keep fighting the good fight.
I've got to say the variety on our shorts has been there's so much for everyone out there that's being put out that dad humor, gamer humor, Pokemon cards, gaming reviews, gaming insight, discussion. It's all there. We've covered we're covered all, and Phil's doing a great job of putting it out there on the page. So
Yeah,
hats
for
off to
sure.
you, sir.
For sure, for sure. Well, that's gonna do it for this week. Anything else that comes to mind before we close this puppy up?
Did we have a giveaway in the title, or is that coming out? Or is that next time? Is
I
that
think I'm gonna do
Phil's
that next time. I think
next
I'm gonna
time?
do that
Okay.
next time. Yeah, next
Yeah.
bat channel. I know I was kind of like half in, half out, but you know what? Hey, next time for sure.
Just
Um,
figured out giveaways can only get better with age. It's like
hey,
fine wine.
hey, yeah. So come with us on Thursday. I'll be giving stuff away on Thursday. Got a little gift pack going out. But if you'd like more of us, you can feel free to follow us on the social channels. Those will be in the description here on this channel or on the podcast, wherever you're listening to that. Good stuff. We're on Discord. You can follow us on Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks for listening to the audio viewer version. If you are, leave us a review. 5 stars if you'd be so kind. That is a wrap for this week. We are out.
Play games.